Welcome to the Blow Up the Blueprint podcast, where it's all about how to use creative thinking in your business for a standout brand. With your host, Joe Gifford.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 8 of Blow Up the Blueprint podcast. In this episode, I talked to my really good friend, Heather Jones, the brain trainer, all about how to use creativity in training your brain. And it's a fascinating deep dive into the amazing tools that Heather uses to get her clients huge results in changing their mindset and changing everything about their lives in a really powerful way. Now, we actually recorded this podcast on a Facebook live stream. So we recorded it last week, and you can actually catch that video in the show notes below on joegifford.co/podcast. You'll find all my episodes, and you'll be able to follow along with the tapping session, which Heather and I do as part of this podcast to, walk you through some emotional freedom technique tapping in real time. So if you want to see the actual video of the interview, then do hop along to the show notes on joegifford.co/podcast. So that's it for now. I'm going to hand you over to the episode itself, which was great fun to record. And as always, I would love to hear your feedback. And here's what I would also love: if you guys are enjoying my podcast, please pop along over to iTunes and leave a review and share with your friends, because the more people that hear about creative thinking, the better. On with the show. And we are live. Heather Jones. Hello, my lovely brain trainer friend. So for everybody watching, this is Joe Gifford here, doing a live record of the Blow Up the Blueprint podcast, which I think is episode 7. I have my wonderful, beautiful friend with me, the wonderful Heather Jones, the brain trainer.
Hey, love. Oh, it's a little bit.
We got some glitch. We will see how we get on, because sometimes Be Live can throw us a little bit of a curveball. But so today, Heather is my guest on the podcast. And as we do with every single episode of the podcast, we're talking about how to use creative thinking. And Heather is a genius with this stuff, as with so much other stuff that she uses in her business. And I really love how Heather integrates creative thinking with what she does with her clients. So Heather, first of all, let's set the stage. Who are you and what do you do?
So, hey, thanks, Joe. I'm Heather, the brain trainer. I train people's brains to think differently, to just get them out of those old patterns, those negative loops, and get them, beneficial thinking patterns, just back in love with their life, basically.
And in fact, you had a big shout out last week, because I interviewed the lovely Susanna Westwood, and we were both giving you so much love on how to really raise creative people, with their careers, and we were both talking about how you've really worked with both myself and Susanna to really get under some blocks and really get rid of some of that mindset stuff. Now, I've been a personal recipient of your friendship, but also of your genius work with, really digging deep into some of those mind blocks. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But you haven't always done this brain training stuff, have you?
No, but
really briefly.
No, actually. No, I'm an artist. I have a fine art degree. Now I'm doing the most creative work I think I've ever done. Remapping somebody's mind, giving them something new, giving them a new vision, giving them something new to think about, some new language. It is the most creative stuff I've done. But yeah, I sold vintage clothing. I was a jewelry photographer, but always with this sort of awareness of, marketing in a way that, one, I didn't want to, I was always fascinated with why people buy stuff, why people, how they interact, all of that stuff, why somebody's different to the next person. I knew it had to do with the brain, so I got obsessed about the brains, obsessed about, marketing in a way that people would feel good, and it kind of all started from there.
That you bring all of that creativity to how you work now, and I know that we've had sessions with each other, working on the brain training stuff, and I've been blown away by some of the techniques that you use to really delve into the blocks in the brain, to really sort of picture. So, let's talk about some of those techniques. And I remember one particular session where you were really using some visualization stuff with me, which of course really resonates as someone who is a sort of visual thinker and a creative thinker anyway. But can you explain what we did and why it works for people as well? I don't mind sharing some of the weirdness that we had on EFT.
Absolutely. I mean, what the brain loves is something new, something innovative to really sort of tickle the imagination. And, we get stuck in automation all the time, which, is great for us when things are working. So where I come in is to disrupt that flow. And there are just, various techniques. It does boil down to breathing techniques. It does. We do this wonderful sort of, the EFT where we're tapping on meridian lines and acupuncture lines, really clearing this stuff. It's all about accessing the subconscious, though, not the conscious brain, not the unconscious brain. The unconscious stuff is your mind's just taking care of breathing, walking, all of that sort of stuff. Don't you think about the conscious stuff is what we're focused on. The subconscious is the automation. So that's what I always work for. So I've got all these different techniques, and the stuff that we did where we played with accessing and talking to that subconscious mind, and we got into visualizations that really tickle the brain, that kind of went mad and weird and psychedelic, because that's what's going to wake us up. That's what's going to go, hang on a minute, hello, knock, knock, knock. You're thinking something differently now. And it's very loud and clear. When I talk to somebody about goal setting, I say, set 10 billion, go crazy, go over the top. Somebody came to me recently and said, they're looking to ask their line manager, they want a company car. Everyone at their level has got a company car. They want to spend a bit more time working at home. And I think they had, they wanted a pay increase. And I said, don't ask for a car, ask for a jumbo jet, ask for this, ask for a new net. Because then they got to that point where they're like, that's just, they started laughing. The fear comes down, and then the realization of actually asking for a company car when everyone else on my level has it doesn't seem so scary, weird, or fearful. So, yeah.
What I love is that, disruption is so much part of your work and your magic, with what you bring to, this stuff. And of course, that's what I work with too when we're doing creative thinking. Like, we had a great session together, didn't we, last week when we were doing some brainstorming? We were just loving it. And, when we get to, generate ideas. So I work with triggers and with creative thinking techniques to sort of generate different ideas for different outcomes for your products, for your service, all of that stuff. You work with that creative genius to disrupt what our brains all. So, our brains are running that process, right?
Yeah. And looking at core beliefs and core patterns, and really, because, our brains are plastic, we are now aware that, we can physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, spiritually recreate these patterns. I love looking at core patterns. One thing that I always say to people, and I'd love for your listeners to sort of really start observing this in themselves, is how you do anything is how you do everything. How you show up at work, how you show up in your business, how you show up in your relationship, how you show up in your relationship with food, your relationship with money. You are your patterns, you are your habits. If they're not working for you, know that they can be changed. And just right. The subconscious is what it's all about.
So, Heather, right now, and how do you break down some of those patterns?
So, where my skill, I think, really is in this intuitive, just I can see somebody, I'm reading somebody, very clearly. I'm hearing what the words they say, their patterns and that kind of thing. And I'm able to hone in on a core belief. Now, what I would suggest for somebody, if they're struggling, whether it's in their business, relationship with food, relationship with money, that they look at their top 5 or 10 thoughts that are the sort of struggle thoughts, the thoughts that are keeping them sort of worried or up at night. And it could be like, I'm not good at this, I'm a fraud, especially people that I work with, sort of female entrepreneurs, they have got that, I'm overwhelmed, there's so much to do, where do I start, where do I begin? Even if they are wanting to set up business as a marketer and they're still not able to market their business, they're going to have a thought. So it's looking at those top 5, I'd say, thoughts, and then seeing where else they show up in your life. These are going to be your core patterns. Know that you can change them.
And oh my gosh, that is so powerful to know that you have control, that you have some keys to unlock your very own brain and change the way that you live. And phenomenal. And so what do you love the most about what you do? What lights you up?
The relief and the fact that, we can access this just intuitive, infinite source, energy, and you're not taking it away from anybody else. I love just seeing these people's lives transform. And, I think a lot of women, we all support each other. There is an absolute beautiful kind of sisterhood, but also it does reflect on us when we see somebody else doing well, whether it's a woman or a man, and we then sort of feel bad about ourselves. So what I love most about this is just knowing that, it's just you. It's just you and your relationship with your own world, your own life, creating that.
Yes, and I'm going to reach out now because we do have some people watching us live on this live stream record. So if anyone is watching, hi peeps, I know that Kat said hello, but if you've ever experienced that film or the sense of the home, anything like that, then in the comments and just let us know what kind of things you have come across. I've certainly gone to Heather and said, Heather, we've got to tap away.
Yes,
got to visualize some of my blogs. It's a really, really powerful technique. And also, if any of you have tried EFT, hi Lisa from Florida, hi darling. If any of you have tried some techniques to overcome some of those blocks, what have they been? We'd love to involve you in this live podcast record discussion. So, and one of the things that I found really powerful, Heather, was when, we did our session and we really brought in some visuals that really bring everything to life. It was so exciting for me to be able to, picture. I think I was reaching a wall, wasn't I? And we literally had a wall and, visually walking through it, cutting out this. I think we drew a door in chalk.
We gave you a magic pen. Sorry, I'm kind of hearing bits and it's cutting out a little bit. But yes, you came to me and said, I've got this wall in front of me. I've got this wall in front of me. I'm like, okay, let's look at this wall. What colour is it? How big is it? Can you see over the top? What do you think is behind it? And there was some hesitation about going through it, but we gave you a chalk and you sketched out a door out of this wall. We're going to give you a way out of this goddamn fucking wall because it's in your way.
And it was brilliant. And I literally, in my mind's eye, in this session with Heather, drew a chalk door onto this imaginary wall. Now, if it currently wants to understand, this sounds a little bit nuts, but it was such a powerful technique. And actually now, whenever I think about, I've reached a wall, my brain immediately goes to this wall out. And, through this session with Heather, we're using a whole range of techniques, weren't we? We were using tapping, using visualization. There's all the beautiful stuff which you're so clever at to really get me into that space where I could walk through this door. And I saw people on the other side. I saw people that I really admire, all my kind of peers, and colleagues that I didn't feel all out there just waiting for me saying, Joe, just walk through the door. It's fine. We're all
yes. Arms outstretched. Come out.
Arms outstretched. And then it gave me that internal permission to say, of course I deserve to walk through that door and to be, with my friends and colleagues on the other side. It's totally fine. And so whatever your situation is, whether you're working with, weight loss or anxiety, something to do with leadership perhaps but this stuff is really, really powerful.
And we took it at your own pace as well. We took it at your own pace because I sort of said, when we visualize the door, what's the door handle like? Are you ready to walk forward? Do you want to do some breathing? And we didn't get you to walk forward until you were absolutely ready and calm in the body, calm in the mind. And that's what makes the difference. Some people will say, taking the marketing thing again, because somebody says, I'm really crap at marketing. And I'm not there to, this isn't just positive thinking. This is actual remapping of the brain. So in order, there's no point in saying, I'm really crap at marketing to I'm really amazing at marketing. Your body and your brain's not going to believe it. You're going to go, okay, in the past, I've thought that I'm not good at marketing. But now I'm open to the idea that I can access these tools. I can access these resources, and bring it in. So we're really just moving that conversation on. And you're bringing up obviously the core technique that I use, which is EFT, emotional freedom technique, where you tap. It's the most powerful, epic, simple technique, but it can be used in a variety of ways. I use it in sort of different creative ways, but it is epic. If people don't know about it, yep.
I would love to do is to run through a really short round of of EFT here now, if that's all right. And I've got a brilliant example. I know that, a lot of people watching would probably be in the situation as well. It's half term currently as we record this, which means that my beautiful children and being a mum, which occasionally, Heather, hands up, it leads to overwhelm. Yes. So if we were to talk about overwhelm, how short rounds of EFT, perhaps we could actually show people how a short round would work. And then I'd love to ask you about, we've been talking about some pretty out there stuff using visuals. What if someone watching this or listening to the podcast is saying, but Heather and Joe, I'm not creative. I, a wall or a chalk, get myself out. Say to people skeptical use their creativity in something like this.
That your brain is so beautiful and is so protecting, is so full of self-love, so when you start accessing it, wow, you will come up with the weird and wonderful. Don't worry about thinking that you're not creative. Again, that's just a thought you've just been thinking. One thing about sort of beliefs are a thought pattern that you have been thinking, or a cluster of thoughts, and over time, because of that energy has just been getting you in a resonance, this focus, you're attracting that. People talk about law of attraction. It's actually that a magical brain power that you're accessing, that focus, you're bringing it in, and then you go, oh, I've got the evidence. Look at all these times where I wasn't creative. And it's like, that's what you're focusing on. How amazingly powerful is your brain at just zoning in, honing in, and bringing that in.
I love it. And in fact, I think on episode 4 of this podcast, I had a solo episode which talked about the creative stereotype effect, which is research that, sort of people who did a series of things with, trying to imagine, I think they, there was sort of like a persona of a librarian. It's like, okay, so your librarian's doing this task and the other half are going to pretend that you're eccentric poets. And the ones who associated with being an eccentric poet were like, I've got this, I've got loads of ideas because I'm identifying with this personality. But the ones who are librarians, not saying librarians are creative, I don't.
No.
But, that sort of, that persona, and they were more stifled. And it's that we stopped being creative from a really young age. My kids this morning were playing with flour, Heather. We were, doing some baking. We were, making a massive mess like in the kitchen, and it took every ounce of my sort of grown-up spirit just to let them, for some, some all over the kitchen floor. Because I'm like, they're in the moment, they're enjoying it. This is what it's about. I don't to start thinking that they shouldn't be creating, that they shouldn't be enjoying that stuff, because they teach me so much about that side of my brain and finding joy and finding. All the way upstairs at my house right now, we've got massive white sort of whiteboards that are full of sort of drawings. And I grown up, we can really easily start to sort of talk ourselves out of, well, I haven't got time to something different or to be. And I know what I teach with the Brilliance Ignition staff is around making tiny tweaks on a daily basis. So sort of watching something new every day, or listening to something new, or wearing a different lipstick, or reading
script.
Self-effectives. So you haven't got to be much, although I personally believe that everybody is an artist. Everyone's inner child is in there. Be creative. You can let go of that fear by starting to take. So demonstration rounds.
Fabulous. Let's do it. And I know, as you've seen that I put on these Dr. Sketchy events where I bring in for life drawing, and everybody says, oh, but I can't draw. And they're like, brilliant, then this is perfect, this is for you, because it's about just getting out your own head and just drawing with your left hand, drawing with your mouth, drawing your eyes, doing something silly. When you start doing that, your body relaxes, there's no kind of pressure, and then we can just be and accomplish so much. I love the idea of the different types. You can also do that, the different hats, the different coloured hats.
Yes, the 6 thinking hats. Yes. Yeah, the De Bono technique of the 6 thinking hats is really powerful. So you're literally wearing a different viewpoint. So there's an actual, kind of exercise by the world famous creative thinker, Edward De Bono, where you literally wear a different coloured hat and you have to think of a different perspective of that situation by wearing that hat. So for people that haven't heard of Dr. Sketches as well, Heather, what is your Dr. Sketches event? Because I just love it.
No, I know we need to get you there. So Sketches is a life drawing class like no other. It's they did life drawing at the Moulin Rouge. So we just bring in the most beautiful, amazing burlesque performers who just come and do a wonderful performance and then pose for our pencils. And a variety of different fun drawing challenges. It's so non-judgmental. As soon as you get there, we just do like a 1 minute sketch, a 2 minute sketch, and then we're holding them up. Everyone is just seeing where everyone else is. It calms the whole kind of pressure. I'm not good enough. Number one, massive, everyone has it. And just getting into the fun of it then. And then you just loosen up. Then really your creativity can flow. And it's so wonderful to get back to pens and paper, actually.
Oh, isn't it? Like, I'm a massive fan of getting your pen to paper. And in fact, now when I plan my week and stuff like that, I've gone back to my Sharpies and to my bullet journal and like I love my Google Calendar, I love my Trello, I love all my tech, but I love that mindfulness of just being with a beautiful my pens and the colour, and even things like applying colour to different days and to different parts of it. See that page, resonate with it in a different way. So, bringing creativity to how you plan and to how you experience your day just changes it so much. And in fact, even yesterday I was feeling like a little bit sort of jaded, like a little bit like, okay, a lot of stuff going on. And I spent some time to put on some bright blue nail polish.
Beautiful.
Which is sort of neon necklace, like some bright coral lipstick, just surrounded myself with colour and vibrancy, the colours that I needed.
Yes.
And, little tiny tweaks of creativity like that are available to us all over to be able to help change our perspective.
Absolutely.
So Heather,
yes.
Let's just get into that. We'll come back to that. I just want to do like a little sample round for anyone who might not have ever experienced EFT before. So let's pretend that I have imposter syndrome. Let's pretend, Heather, because obviously that's not the case. Never would that be the case. Everyone has it, right? So how would we do a lightning round to get me in space?
Did you say in overwhelm?
Yeah, overwhelm and imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Describe to me what you mean by imposter syndrome.
I feel like an imposter, like I'm worthy of talking about creative things.
Right. Feel like a fraud.
I feel like a fraud.
Okay.
Yeah.
This comes up so much with people starting, new businesses, or just, women in business. It's sort of like, who am I? Like, who are you not to? You're there for we're doing this work for a reason. So what, if you've not heard of this before, if you've not seen how this works, we are going to say some stuff that's very, very negative. It sounds really negative when I'm doing it. And don't be afraid to just jump on in and kind of tap along with this, because what we're doing is we're acknowledging that negative voice or that unhelpful voice, or basically the protector voice. It's not self-sabotage, it is just protection. So I'm going to be saying things like, I'm crap, I'm not good enough. This isn't training your brain into that. It's releasing it. It's letting it go. And we need to be because that's what we're fighting against. We're trying to fight against this idea the whole time. So when we just let that go through this technique, you're going to get a sort of sense of relief. And then we move it into a sort of more positive, grounding kind of speech. And that's what then gets sucked up at the cellular level. So it is a cross between acupuncture and NLP. It's like they got a room and created this amazing brainchild that is.
I love that. They got a room.
They just got a room. They got it on. And wow, thank God they did. So yeah, it is an energetic technique. You will be consciously talking to your subconscious, maybe for the first time, because we're either in our conscious brain or subconscious brain the whole time. Watch what I won't go through the points. You'll just see where the points are, and I'll just jump on around. So at every thought or thought cluster, I'd like you to rate it on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the most intense. So how intense is that feeling that you feel like an imposter, a fraud right now?
I'm going to go with a 6.
6. And sometimes it's good to kind of know where you feel that in the body. Again, we hold emotions in different parts of the body, and we certainly hold memories, and all this emotional storage gets stored up. So where would that be in the body?
I feel it here, Just in my chest, actually.
My chest, top chest area. And this is weird because if you know something, oh my God, I need to keep this focused. But I just want to say quickly about the chakra. Right, the chakras.
No, do it.
This is what happens when me and Joe get into a conversation. We're like, there's so many things that we need to talk about right now. And everything's amazing. All of the things. But this is interesting about the different points in the body, the different energy centers. And if it's here, then it's, you know, it's going towards the communication center and creativity center, which is the throat. And it's also near the heart center as well, which is, you know, this is about your, you know, your worth, your view of you. So it's natural that's going to sit there. So let's do some breathing because that's part of this. I'd love to just breathe in.
So guys, if you're watching, feel free to join in while you're with me and Heather while I do this live round. So, okay, so breathe in.
Take a breath in through the nose and out through the mouth with some noise. We're going to just be connecting the body presently, drawing in all parts of you back into the body, back in this moment. Breathe in through the nose. And out. Give yourself a smile. One last breath. And tapping side of the hand, repeating after me, even though a part of me feels like a fraud.
Part of me feels like a fraud.
Part of me feels like an imposter.
Part of me feels like an imposter.
I love and accept myself now.
I love and accept.
Breathe. Even though a part of me feels like I have no right to do this.
Like I have no right to do this.
Who am I to do this work?
Who am I to do this work?
I love and accept myself and I'm okay.
I love and I'm okay.
Even though I have this feeling in my chest.
I have this feeling in my chest.
This tension in my body.
This tension in my body.
I'm choosing to love and accept myself now.
I'm choosing to love and accept myself now.
Lovely. Top of the head, breathing in, tapping that point there. This feeling. Tapping the eyebrows. It's where the eyebrow starts. This feeling. Side of the eye. I feel like a fraud. Under the eye, breathing in. I haven't got my own shit together. Breathe. Who am I to show others? Chin point, breathe. This feeling. This worry. What will others think of me? I feel like an imposter. Who am I to do this work? I've been telling myself for so long. I'm not good enough. Can you see me okay? Breathe. Yeah. I've been telling myself for so long. I'm not good enough. I'm open to changing this pattern now. It will benefit me and others. We can release this feeling. We can let it go. I choose to relax now. I choose to know that I am good enough. I'm here to do this work. I'm choosing to accept this now. At the cellular level. Lovely. Take a breath here. Place your hands on your heart. Breathe in, breathe out. Nice. Just allow that, this movement of energy to just flow through you. As we have activated those powerful points, we made what we were talking about super conscious for our subconscious mind to just come in and allow all the beneficial stuff to be taken back in. Nice. If people are watching this in a
That feels. If you just tuned in on the live stream, it was what I'm just sitting here with Heather with my hands on my heart. I love you, Heather. I love you.
I love you, baby.
But so we've just done a live round tea, which gives you an example of how. Actually, I feel so calm now, Heather. I just need to keep you in my live stream all day.
How did that? You were at a 6. Where are you now?
Oh, like 2, 3. Like it's just like I'm like whatever. No imposter syndrome. Oh. That's totally fine. Like the calming effect as well of tapping on those points. So we were just tapping on the podcast. I will put the links below. See the taps. And I'll link to Heather as well. So she's got all this stuff, all these resources for you guys. But the calming effect of just telling yourself, I got this. Even though I think that's just a thought. We're here. I'm creating another.
You're wanted, you're needed, you're in the right and perfect place, always, we all are. And when we just, keep telling ourselves that's what keeps happening. But the physical effect, that calming that you're getting, is because we're calming the fight, flight, freeze response in the amygdala gland that is just kind of going, oh, there's nothing to worry about. There's no threat. There's no worries here. I'm not needing to hold my breath. That's why we do breathing at the start, because it's really kind of needing to integrate that breathing at the end. And also my natural my natural hypnotic voice takes over, and everyone goes.
It is lovely. I've listened to you all day, but it's so what I loved as well with that. There's this powerful acupuncture meets NLP, and then you throw in, so you've created as well. You've created a way of working.
Yeah,
that's not just acupuncture. It's not just energy work. It's not just visualization. You've blown up your own blueprint by saying, right, this is what brain training is. This is, and you've created your own way of doing it, which is so unique to you, and is absolutely having killer results, isn't it?
Yeah, and I love it. I love the work that I do, and it's not that I had this stuff sussed before, because I did this work on myself. Back in 2009, I had a year where I was just in bed, completely depressed, and zero motivation, just a load of crap. I got myself motivated. And that's when I sort of started the sketches, when I started doing, this creative stuff. And then even more recently, in the last sort of 2 years, looked at my relationship with my body, relationship with emotional eating, clearing those cravings. You can remap your brain for anything. I am now the happiest, the richest, and the thinnest I've ever been. I'm like, it's just all because of thinking differently. Just knowing my worth, just loving each day, and doing the practice, doing the reps on this stuff, because the brain will keep trying to protect the original program that you set in your early stages of development, around 7, 8, or 9. And I know that we've gone back and done the matrix work, which is like EFT on acid, where
right, I just need to intercede here just a little bit, because I was explaining to somebody yesterday it's re-imprinting work which Heather did. It was the most powerful thing in the whole world. So really briefly, your magical matrix re-imprinting is.
So it's like doing that tapping around that we just did then. You got that lovely calm sensation, that clarity. From that point, you can move forward, making the right decisions. We go back to the key events and experiences in your life where you set the original decision to, whether it is about family, whether it's about money is bad, or, just whatever it is. And we go back to that key point. We literally step into that memory, and I create it sort of visually. You give me all the information, and it's like me sending you back in We create this sort of space, pause time. You're doing that protocol in that moment. And because you're doing it from that moment, you're changing. Literally, it's like a time machine. It's like, I feel like a Marty McFly, but with bigger boobs. And just going back into those key moments and clearing from that moment, it clears down your pipeline. It clears down your timeline. And so when you're trying to pull from that past hurt, because we're living, moment to moment, but we are our past, we are our patterns, it doesn't activate the same energetic anymore. And you just like, I don't feel like that anymore. I just have so many people saying, chocoholics, serious chocoholics would come to me, just, binge eating, all of the, big emotional trauma and upset. And they're like, yeah, I just don't do that anymore. I just don't think about it anymore. I'm losing weight and I'm not thinking about it. These past traumas, I'm more empowered now. It isn't just positive thinking. This is literally training your brain, thinking differently.
The power that has. Yeah. Incredible. You can change your life by changing your brain. And I know when we did my matrix re-imprinting session, I love the fact that we did it while you were sitting in wearing a Wonder Woman outfit. Just for context, the fact that her gym session wearing her Wonder Woman outfit, it was just beautiful. And she was like, hey babe, I think, car, and we're going to do this matrix re-imprinting thing. Just Wonder Woman outfit. I was like, this woman anymore. And at the end of mine, we had this whole visualization thing.
Yeah.
Beautiful mojito with the younger version of me, having told her that all right, and it's all fine. As the older version of me who's really wise, I go back to that visualization and hang out in the pub with the three versions of me as if that's a normal thing.
And this is it, because
I'm just chatting.
We're doing that anyway. We're going back and reliving, in the American. So why not make this really like the quantum realm? This is quantum thinking. This is kind of like, accessing and just then creating your life in this reality, in this version of reality, just even more amazing, dream-filled, wonderful. Oh my goodness.
And also, just before we close out, like what I love as well is when we use creative thinking triggers, we're also accessing that quantum realm, aren't we? Because we're part of our brains. And when we, do all that stuff, when we step into using our creativity, and when we're in triggers, or we're doing like, sort of vision, or we're just using our brains, and you're outside of all the normal patterns that are running around, that are in there, telling you what, how you should feel right now, or, what your thoughts are doing, blah, blah, blah. You're able to create a new reality while you're brainstorming, which is like, it's like use this for our business and stand up brand. Yes, of course we can use this for content and packages and for blah, blah, blah. But actually we can manifest stuff in our lives by brainstorming and
We're always manifesting. We're always manifesting stuff in our lives. It's that when we know our power and we realize that, oh my goodness, we can do this on call, I get to design it. Wow, that's sort of the next level. I just really want to share with you something that I did with somebody recently that you think you'd love, which is a visualization where she was like, there's these girls who are judging me. So we put them in the stand. We put all these people in like a dock with the big kind of the judgy wigs, and we grew the wigs really tall, and then we grew them really, really tall, and then she grew sort of big. It was just, there's so much fun you can have with these sort of visualizations and this brain work for you to feel more empowered, feel more of that sort of self-love. And that's what I want for people, really.
I love that. And in fact, that reminds me of when we were drawing me vision board. We had a huge chalk, I think, and I imagined that I was holding this massive piece of chalk. But by changing all of that stuff, like I'm really connected to it, because I have that concept, and in my brain that's an image which we were able to build up that really connected me to it. And so I know anytime that my chalk is there, I can go right.
Yes.
Or that I could go and hang in the pub with you, have a little mojito, sort it all out, which is an incredibly
make mine a double.
You're down the bar with older you and younger you anyway. You're the header. We're going to have talk more about all this stuff, because I just love your work. I love you. I love all the stuff that you're doing in the world and how much you're empowering people through your brain training and through your creativity and the way that you're used. So Heather, where can we find you? What juiciness about you?
You can find me braintrainer.info, and I'm hanging out more and more on Instagram, which I just love. I think it's a fabulous community over there. So at the Brain Trainer on Instagram, and right here on Facebook /the Brain Trainer.
Beautiful. So before we go, has anyone got any questions for the lovely Heather, who have been here on the live stream? For anyone who's watched us do the live EFT, or heard about how Heather used creativity and brain training and work, so we can open up to before. If anyone has anything to, while she's here, do give us a shout. But welcome to send us a question. You can email me, joe@joegifford.co, on the next podcast, or your thoughts on each show. I'd love to hear what you thought with Heather, and particularly any insights that that you guys have had with your own brain blocks and with any experience that you might have followed that live tapping. Love to hear how. So any cues before we sign off? Check on all the strings.
They're all so zenned out. I think we've made them.
Body. We've chilled everyone out. Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, the lovely Heather Jones, and the braintrainer.info is where you can find more about her. And I think we're going to have you back on the show, my lovely, to talk about more of this creativity stuff. It's juicy work. All right, darling. Thank you so much. See you later.